Okay, listen, if you are still watching this over on the Line Edge, you are definitely missing episodes because we are only putting the Monday episodes here, and we won't be doing that for much longer anyways.
Please check out the links below and subscribe to the YouTube channel for The Line Has a Podcast, or get it from one of the many places podcasts are had.
We can't wait to see you over there. We are actually reading the comments, and we have the best parties.
And now for the show.
This episode is brought to you by our patron supporters. Today's patron of the day, Quantum Chaos. Patrons get this show always ad-free and access to the extended episodes with that sweet bonus content. Like on today's bonus episode, Promise finally is going to tell us that Kata's story, and we're going to talk about that annoying call she just had with Ben on the Sunday show yesterday. You saw it. She got real mad.
I was so angry.
Alyssa also has a great story to bring about this life beginning at erection bill in Missouri. Plus, Jimmy will be there too, but you don't have to like that part. If you want to make sure you always see those episodes, go to patreon.com/calltheline where the audio loops never end early. Comment of the episode. I had to turn this off. That pixel was maddening. Obviously a rogue pixel with a criminal history. Deport the pixel. Welcome everyone to The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow.
I'm Promise Backlund.
I'm Alyssa Lube.
Did we establish yet what order that's always supposed to go in, or did that just seem like it flowed perfectly?
That just flowed perfectly.
It just happened.
Wow. It is Monday, February 3rd. We're going to be talking about crashes in the air, crashes in the future economy under Donald Trump, Musk's expanding power, which I didn't come up with another crashing pun for, and also the perfect tea to match with a grilled cheese sandwich. In fact, let's start with that. What's the right tea for a grilled cheese? I'm going to say Earl Grey.
Earl Grey is my favorite tea, so I want to agree with you, but I think you're wrong. I think it's green tea.
Really? I was
going to
say
flavor profile, you know?
I feel like I would want just a plain black tea, because I think the grilled cheese sandwich is like doing so much, and you need something that's like acidic, will cut through the like fattiness of the cheese and like butteriness of the sandwich.
Maybe
like,
if
you
it's
don't want
an
it to
iced
do
tea.
too much.
I don't think I'd do a hot black tea, but an iced tea or like an Arnold Palmer with a grilled cheese. I think the question also changes depending on how you make your grilled cheese. What kind of bread do y'all use?
I think sourdough.
Exactly, that's the right answer.
Yeah. Sourdough's best.
But also, I have to ask, are we having tomato soup with the grilled cheese?
That's
I'm not, because I don't like tomato soup. Yeah.
That's where you're wrong, unfortunately.
Because I agree. Because I just assumed that we were, and then I realized that you didn't actually say that. So.
I think everyone's just relieved that the reason I'm not is that I don't like it. Not that I was going to tell the sad story once again of how many foods I can eat.
Yeah.
Can't have it anyway. Tomato soup. Would you change your soup selection if you also enhanced your grilled cheese by doing the outer layer with a little bit of a lightly garlicked salted butter?
I would still want the soup.
Okay.
Yes, definitely still want the soup.
Definitely still want the soup. Where it starts to get a little tricky for me is when people do grilled cheeses that are like brie and fig jam, which delicious, not what I asked for.
That's a different
separate thing.
Yeah.
That's like a thing that comes like, I feel like that's a thing you go to a special restaurant and they also are giving you like a goat cheese charcuterie like experience. And that is disgusting. But listen, here's what I want to know. If you are listening, we're going to talk about questions of the day, but to tell you the truth, I'm more interested in the comments now in how y'all make your grilled cheese. What's your favorite grilled cheese? Do you like doing a pizza grilled cheese where you put some pepperonis on the inside? You use like a nice mozzarella.
Wow.
Maybe you throw in some other white cheeses, not white cheddar, obviously, but maybe like some Romano and Parmesan. And
Feels like you're making a Hot Pocket.
Then you put a good Hot Pocket, but you got still the sourdough bread with the garlic butter, and then you put some oregano into the bread as it toasts. That's pretty good.
Can I throw out
the tomato soup makes way more sense, but I would probably dip it in a marinara.
I can't get with you on the marinara thing.
As
But
as the Italian expert on the panel here, it's actually pronounced marinara.
Oh, Jesus God.
I do have to say, I think the trick to grilled cheese is a little bit of mayo mixed in with the butter on the outside, so that when you like sear it, that mayo, oh, it's so nice. You can't tell that that's what it
so
is. It's just like the secret ingredient.
Just a
to it.
teeny
A
little
little
bit of
tang, a little tang, some extra crunch.
that
And it's-
mustardy.
and it-
Salivating.
I don't know. I feel like it browns a little bit nicer than just the plain butter too. So
I haven't had
You gonna
dinner
message
yet,
Yuka
so
to have one ready for you when it's
I
over?
should. I truly
Anyway,
should.
Just wanted you to know we're talking about grilled cheese. Please go make me a traditional Finnish grilled cheese, and I will tell you how it goes.
Yeah.
Would he do it
Traditional
if you asked?
Finnish.
If you asked him to make a traditional Finnish one, and then you could try it in the bonus episode?
He will tell me that that isn't possible here, because he'll tell me that that's not real food here, and that the bread is the worst, and that we don't have real cheese and all
Okay,
that.
but I don't know where I'm going to find a fresh goat. I think is what he would have to say. I'll do my best with I have cans of goat, but I don't know where.
The accent attempt is amazing.
It was a little more Borat than Yuka, but it's
Yeah,
getting
it
there.
was.
He was about to just start complaining about, and my wife.
Oh my God. This is a great time to move to the next part.
All right, the questions of the day, we're going to move those to the end, the discussion. However, we're going to introduce them to you. Last week's, you can still get, I suppose, some input in if you want to go start a fight in the comments. But last week's that we're going to discuss at the end is it wrong of people to take an I told you so moment when presenting how bad the Trump administration is already proving to be? Only note I will give is that a lot of people who responded assumed I was talking about just Trump supporters and not people who shared responsibility, which is the shared responsibility for Trump getting into office. It is so annoying when you want to bring up any of those sections, the way they think you're saying in totality, only Jill Stein voters put him in office. Y'all can share, and you do, responsibility. And by the way, if you want to help influence which comments that we actually read on air, you could engage over on YouTube and on Patreon. And we have a Reddit now if there are stories you want to get to us. It's very inactive so far. We've probably got to get that thing. Maybe we'll do like a Q&A with us, like a AMA
That would
on
be fun.
Reddit soon. That'd be fun.
Ooh, that's really
I love
fun.
that.
Could be a good idea. And then our next question of the day, this is the one that you want to respond to that we'll discuss next week, not at the end of the show today. How much of what we see in politics today is actually about policy? How much is otherwise just about controlling a narrative? And it's a good question to wait until the end of the show anyway to answer. You can put in your thing now, but I actually think a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is going to sort of inform on that opinion. Personally, I think that's a big theme that is going to be running throughout. Otherwise, I'm ready to move into the news. You two got anything before we jump into it?
No, I'm excited to talk about all of the great things that are happening.
Yeah, we might be starting with the...
I'm excited to talk about it, and I also, now I'm really in the mood for a grilled cheese, so...
You should try the pizza one of these days. It's
I
pretty
will.
good.
Also, am I laggy for you guys? Because I don't think I'm laggy on my end, but I feel like based on us chatting,
Yes.
I'm not that laggy. I am laggy?
Your audio is fine. Your video is terrible.
video
so
is
we hear
lagging.
you correctly, and all that matters is the way this whole thing works. You'll be fine in post. It'll upload the better one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that matters. Okay, proceed.
Yep. The first thing's probably the worst thing, honestly, even though there's lots of terrible shit in here, but the overall consequences of what's going to happen, even though it's also going to seem somewhat boring, except for economic students, but the U.S. has ignited its major trade war at the behest of Donald Trump, slapping tariffs on key trading partners, and now we are seeing massive global retaliation. The U.S. has imposed 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports. That's right, imports, because somehow people don't understand it's on the imports. We pay the tariffs on our end. The importer.
I don't understand. Do people really not know that that's how tariffs work? Is that what this boils
Correct.
down to? Is people just literally not understanding how a tariff works?
And
But
even
how
if
have
it
they
didn't,
not... How have they not learned
on.
even now? Like, this has been a conversation that we've been having for the past 8 months. Like, I don't understand how even now this is something that people are still standing by. I'm fucking confused. And this is why it's always so hard in general to have conversations with people who are like in the Trump cyclone, because they're operating from a completely different set of facts, like a completely different side of the internet and information, that I'm like, I don't even know how to talk to you about this, because how have you still not learned that these are import taxes? How? Or tariffs?
The even funnier thing is Trump is citing a few dozen pounds of fentanyl that crossed the border from Canada as the reason for the 25% tariff, with apparently no numbers or statistics handy on literally drugs coming from America to Canada, which tends to happen in larger numbers. But he's saying it's because Canada and Mexico equally guilty of illegal immigration and drug trafficking, which is also just funny from the very, very onset. And has also added 10% tariffs on other Canadian things such as oil, gas, and electricity. Again, the oil we need to buy from them, the gas we need to buy from them, the electricity we need to buy from them, now 10% more expensive, meaning that Americans, look, the other countries don't like these tariffs because it means that Americans are going to buy less from them because they will be able to afford to buy less from them. For example, the voice cracking cream that I buy comes from Canada. And clearly you all heard that I didn't get any because it's too expensive now. So the 25, did we all catch it? It's the last, guys.
Yeah.
Here's your popcorn, Mr. Simpson.
I just kept thinking about how inefficient a voice cracking cream
trade
would
war.
be.
Right. No, it's good. It's just Vaseline.
No.
Yeah. I was going to make
I already
a joke,
hate that word anyways. but-
Vaseline?
Yeah.
What other words do you hate?
I'm not going to tell you.
I don't like the word cream.
I mean,
And
that's
that's
not
a
a
big
great
problem.
one
Feels
either.
gross.
Right.
Yeah.
My cream
Emulsion.
is
Emulsion
Vaseline.
is nicer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think
Fancy.
so too. But that's my opinion as a licensed esthetician.
I knew that was coming next.
I will tell you that Canada's also not backing down at all. They are hitting back with massive tariffs, and that is also going to punish it. Here's the thing. Yes, I understand. People might be confused where they're like, well, if we're the ones paying it, then why are they doing retaliatory ones? It actually doesn't matter who's paying it. Adding tariffs fucks over both sides, because whether it's that the importers are paying more and therefore they can afford to buy less, or the exporters are paying more, therefore they raise prices, therefore the importers are able to afford less. And by the way, that causes inflation. It doesn't really particularly matter. So now we just
It's
have a
impacting
trade war.
business on both sides, no matter what. Yeah.
Right. Basically, hey, America, we're going to raise tariffs and now you can afford to buy less. And then they're going to retaliate and go, actually, it's not just less, it's a lot less, because we're essentially doubling that tariff by hitting you right back with it. And so Canada has these $30 billion in intermediate tariffs on U.S. goods starting this Tuesday, and $125 billion more in tariffs coming in the next 3 weeks for supply chain adjustments. They are targeting goods like beer, wine, orange juice, clothing, appliance, and furniture, things that we do a lot of exporting of. And Trudeau has warned that tariffs are going to hurt American workers and drive up consumer prices. All of you who voted for this man because you thought, I just want the cost of goods to come down, I want eggs to get cheaper, well, you're fucked. And you literally picked the guy. I feel like illustrated best, and I don't have these images ready. It's a podcast anyway. We're not supposed to rely on images. But if you really just look at how Donald Trump feels about being president, just look at the difference between his portrait the first time and the official presidential portrait now, where he looks like in the first one, he's like, I'm going to try to charm you into bed. And in the second one, he looks like I'm about to walk over there and grab you by the...
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what?
Moving on. I don't know
sure.
why I didn't
Well,
just say
and
pussy. We can
yes,
say
I think
by
it was
now.
yesterday. He went on record to say this may cause pain for Americans, temporary pain.
Yeah.
So he's now getting to that part and saying, "Oh, sorry. By the way, guys, like pulled the rug out from under you."
But I don't want you all to worry, because if you look at it, if you look at the tariffs, the way that this is going to be long
It's
term,
gonna help us billionaires.
I am going to be fine. Of everybody, I will be okay.
Right.
And for me, because us billionaires, us billionaires, we're gonna do fine. We're gonna do great. Mexico has also joined in, launching their own countermeasures, including retaliatory tariffs. a complaint with the WTO, and potentially will be disrupting supply chains to both agriculture and manufacturing, which, boy, the way Trump is wanting to totally disrupt agriculture, just getting more and more fun, worse and worse as they are doing these massive ICE raids, which are even causing legal immigrants to not show up to work because of fear of being accosted. And I mean, they have literally begun arresting legal citizens and people, immigrants who are here, right, on green cards and stuff. We are very much in a may I see your papers economy now. So that's great. China's promising their own big old tariffs in return as well. We're waiting to find out how big those are going to. And again, filing complaints with the WTO, which I assume Trump's solution will be, well, you know, we're going to look at pulling out of the WTO. I'm finally going to start pulling out. And that's pretty...
So gross.
You don't want to think about that?
I don't.
You like how Barron is turning into the worst one? Everybody had like such hopes for Barron. Yeah, Barron's like the guy who convinced his dad to start going after the like manosphere, go on Joe Rogan, do all the podcasts with these like horrible podcasters like Aiden Ross, like these uber incel hero boys doing that kind of stuff. But then also he is a board member of a bunch of like cryptocurrency places now. He's doing like crypto shit, and is why Trump, because you know Trump's now got these meme coins and shit. Trump is probably actually going to massively expand his personal wealth because of his involvement in crypto and the fact that he's doing things to massively inflate it. But now you can also buy crypto that Trump is attached to. So now instead of buying to go stay at his shitty fucking hotel and never show up, they can just pump money into his coins and inflate the value so he can pull it out. Because ironically, as far as a grift goes, we never knew exactly what forms the grifts were going to take. And this time we kind of do, and he's going to make a fucking shit ton off of it.
Well, of course. Yeah, keep in mind, none of this is going to cause him maybe possibly some pain temporarily. This is all only going to work out in his favor if it goes how he's wanting it to go. Once again, everyone's been duped. Not everyone, but his supporters have been duped to help him and go against their own best interests.
All while over at the Capitol, his portrait looks down at everybody and communicates the message of, what if I looked like an ugly frog? What is that? What is that? Oh, hang on.
And he's
Could
doing
we do
this
that
like
photo
eye
again?
thing.
I fear that my jowls were not pronounced enough. I need bigger jowls. It's a really bad photo. Like, how does he look at that and go, this is good? It's the same one he did for his mugshot.
No, I think he did it on purpose. I think he was like, oh, that looks so cool on a t-shirt. Let's do it again.
Yeah, maybe that is it.
Guys, my audio for you two is cutting out like crazy. So I'm hearing like every other thing that you guys are saying. So I'm gonna close Discord that I had open before, and I'm gonna close my outline, and I'm gonna put it on my phone. So if I'm looking at my phone, it's because that's where my outline is gonna be now. Because my computer's being a big butthole.
Somebody buy Alyssa a new MacBook.
I was gonna say, if you love me at all,
send a new MacBook.
Someone send me a new
You got an
computer.
Amazon wish list somewhere? I don't know. Mail it to the P.O. box for the line. It's under the description. We'll get it to her. It can't be your personal one. We know what kind of weird malware you're putting on there. And they're like, oh, and don't worry about this webcam that seems to be able to
I didn't even think
motion
about that.
track your feet. That's unrelated. It's for AI features.
Gross.
By the way, the other consequences that we are already seeing of this is that Canada and other countries are just starting to form these new trade agreements with other countries. Like they're working with Colombia now. They're working with Ecuador, and not just Canada. You've got like these South American countries pushing over to China. Trump is really overestimating as they're trying to be like, oh, we hate the globalists. We hate them. And so he's cutting out all of the globe essentially, and they're all going to work with each other. Their economies will recover fine. We'll become more economically isolated, and we will get fucked. Like this man is too dumb to be in charge of an HOA, and yet here he is, ahead of the country, and
Yeah, and it's gonna affect so many businesses. Well, and it's funny because I would venture to think that some of these business owners that are like wannabe billionaires are thinking it's just gonna impact the little guys. It's going to impact all of them unless you are one of the like 0.0000001% of the 1%. This is not going to work out for you. It's going to be, I think, horrific for all of us unless you're basically in the White House.
Yeah. Alyssa, do you have a stand that your phone can mount to?
Probably, yeah. Yes,
I was
I
say
do.
because your microphone can actually plug into iPhones. Can take that microphone. You could technically try to rejoin from your phone
This is
if that would
so
simplify the issue here. Why don't we take a quick break and see if we
It's so
can
hard to hear
help
what's
out
going on.
Alyssa with her tech issues over here. We'll be back to talk more about the
Now I
government
can't
and
hear
the
you, literally.
really, really worrisome expanding Elon Musk power stuff. She's doing her best.
Alyssa,
Alyssa, we're gonna move to a break to solve this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna move to a break. We'll solve it here in a moment. But the Trump administration is also making additional moves against media. Elon Musk is getting way more powerful in a way that should be alarming and freaking you all out. We'll talk a little bit about some major business things. There's even a little bit of I put a little happy news, a little nice news somewhere in here as well. And then it's gonna get freaking horrible. We're definitely gonna be talking about those plane crashes. So that'll be when we get back from the break. We'll see you when we return in just a moment.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some founders merch for The Line Has a Podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
Welcome back. We are trying. We're doing our best. Alyssa is back using her iPhone as her camera, and we're hoping that everything just goes so well in the future and that a wonderful person buys her a MacBook. Yeah, just do it.
We need a Doge department over here to make sure we get things done.
But
more
please don't
efficiently,
send us the money for it in Dogecoin. That shit is useless.
No.
Elon Musk has been growing influence in the government. It is getting insane, the access he is getting to federal financial systems, including Musk's own Doge team, speaking of Doge, gaining access to the U.S. federal payment system. This was approved by the new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. And it basically, right now, Elon Musk, who has never shown himself to be petty, has the access to personal payment data of millions of Americans. I was going to say Americas. There's only 2 Americas. That I almost tried to make a joke there, but I was really just thinking North and South America. But I was almost went white America and everybody else.
Oh my God.
2 Americas. Anyway. This is awesome that they have access to that, not totally making everybody worry that there might be some national security risk at play here, and that they could literally manipulate federal payments and pick winners. And it could actually be catastrophic. If you want to compete in any way with Elon Musk, you now have to really be confident that he would never do some petty shit. You know,
Right.
The guy who was posting photos of Taylor Swift doing a wave to say, I'm not petty, but this is a Nazi salute too. It's very comparable to my
still
very
photo.
well choreographed Zig Heil in motion.
Also, the man who recreated Twitter to be X, a place for free speech, and then just bans everyone who speaks anything that he does not like and appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Free
Petty
speech.
King.
We need it so bad, but you can't say cis here.
Right, exactly. Petty fucking King. He's such a wiener.
I don't even care if you actually individually don't believe cisgender is a thing. If you say you are a free speech absolutist, but you want to ban people who say cisgender, You aren't a free speech absolutist. What you are is a fucking fascist. And,
Big surprise where we are at now.
Yeah. What? They're fascists. Who's ever come
Shocking.
up with this? Jimmy is like breaking news here. He is breaking necks and cashing checks. Also, I do enjoy that Elon Musk this week has gotten to sort of freak out over the fact that many large subreddits, which is up to the mods, Reddit in general hasn't done this, but they are now blocking any links that come from X because of his involvement in the Trump's inauguration, featuring his, I don't know how to say it, like the most cliche. If you were trying to describe to somebody how to do the perfect Sig Heil, eventually you'd give up and just show that video and be like, this is the energy. Match this guy. Perfection.
Yeah, it's beyond flirting with the salute at that point. I mean, that's what he did. It's crazy still that people are denying it. And here we are. I think we've been talking about this, since episode 1 or 2?
Yeah.
And it's still coming up.
Yeah.
Y'all use Reddit much?
I used to a lot, and I'm back on it now that we have our subreddit, so.
Yeah. I like Reddit to look up like what people are asking questions about for like sex and relationship stuff. And occasionally I just have to make sure that everyone is behaving when when my name gets thrown around in places, which I should not be looking. I shouldn't be looking, but occasionally I just want to make sure. But
you also probably shouldn't have said that because now
I know
people are
now
like,
there's I know.
well,
I know.
what are they hiding from us over there? I mean, I'm gonna go look.
There's really nothing. It's like we talked about this the last or 2 episodes ago, that like people talk about my relationships and stuff like that, but whatever. But I like Reddit for like the am I the asshole, and also people asking for relationship advice, because it's anonymous, people can just like really let loose there in a different way, which is terrifying and also special.
I like a lot of Reddit. Granted, there are literally Reddits dedicated to hating me where people just have made up the craziest stories and conspiracies about me.
That's how you know you've made it.
Yeah.
I know.
When you have a snark.
I don't understand. Okay, would you be opposed to me reading what my top result was when typing your name into Reddit?
Mine?
Yeah.
It's going to be all about Tara. I know.
Nope. That's
Really?
not what's top of mind.
Oh,
Here's
what
the
is
thing.
it?
My algorithm probably knows what I am spending a third
God,
of my time on Reddit
scared.
for.
Okay, I'm scared. What is it?
It's odd because okay, without giving it direct, it's in a thing called booty battles.
You're
And
the
it says
winner.
Smallest booty champion, Kelly versus Alyssa Lube. But what do they think a small booty is?
I don't know.
This is
I know. I thought my
weird-
booty was like a big selling point for me, but I guess not.
It's strange.
Maybe they
Frightening.
mean like because you are more petite.
I will tell you, I went
Maybe.
to where the
Like maybe
vote
that's
is.
not about the what am I talking about here? Not about
The size of the butt. It's
it's
in
the
ratio to everything else.
Yeah.
You lost, but as far as the poll goes, though, you lost massively. So
Wow.
I think most of them were like,
Rigged.
if we're voting smallest booty, we're gonna
the
vote
other
for
girl had smaller.
I think it's actually that you kind of won in a way.
Oh, I see. Got it. Okay.
You're a winner
All
in
right.
our eyes either
Oh
way.
my God. Some of
Thank
these
you.
things, as I'm just scrolling through, I'm like, who the fuck has the time to care about this shit?
I know.
What the fuck is wrong with you? And then you get other people who aren't even you that it thinks that man, this is like,
It's a mess. It's all a mess.
who's got the time?
I don't
Whatever.
know. Whatever.
There's a reckoning one day where I feel like AI is going to be able to figure out whoever insulted everybody. And so it'll be like, you better go and start apologizing to these people because they know what you did and what you said. I've actually
Dude.
gotten a lot of those apologies in recent years, some really big ones very recently. But man, there has to be a day coming where we collectively go, we used the internet terribly. And we're all it's somewhat culpable, but some of us much worse than others.
Yeah.
Some of us, when you have entire Reddits dedicated to shitting on the people who specifically have told other people being obsessive assholes to go touch grass. And so then now it's about how bad it is to tell someone to go touch grass, but those people desperately do in fact need to go touch grass. It's like this meta commentary on its fucking self. It's bizarre. Anyway, that's totally an aside. We'll get back to Elon and distribution of information, which, to that note, the Trump administration is actually forcing CBS to hand over the unedited interview materials because Trump has these lawsuit claims that they are extremely biased and saying that the interview was deceptively edited to make her look smarter. I can be a bit of a sore loser and I can be a bit of a sore winner. I'll be honest. This is the sorest winner you have ever fucking heard of.
Yeah.
Your president. I don't believe it's going to be, even if they did any editing, I don't think it'll be close to what he's claiming it is, because every time he talks, he opens his mouth, it's a fucking lie. But let's say it was, I'd still say move the fuck on. If anything, you could claim that the reason why you won was that the American people could smell the bullshit, and so you won because you're the no bullshit guy, even though you're basically made of bullshit. You could claim it. You could pretend it. You take yes for an answer. You fucking won. What do you need now?
What are we doing?
The popular vote, like fucking dude.
What are we doing?
But
every day I wake up and my thoughts and prayers go out to your cholesterol thriving. Man. I want your cholesterol to thrive.
But that's why people did vote for him, is because they like that about him. Those are the people that I have on Inauguration Day brigading my Instagram, just saying like, who's your daddy now? All this stuff all over my page. And these are the people that are supposedly happy and content now.
Right.
So happy and content that they have to waste their time sitting on the internet going and telling everybody about how Trump is all of our daddy now, which to me, that means you need to go speak with a professional. And I'm so sorry for whatever happened in your childhood. But holy shit, like you said, they are the sorest winners of all times.
I don't know which kind of professional specifically, because I think half of them really just need to get laid once. Maybe they need
any
a professional. If you know.
Any professional.
Yeah. By the way, this is a huge fuck you to the concept of government censorship. Again, the free speech people, the First Amendment people, this is so undermining the Constitution and the idea that the press should be free to do what they can print what they want to print, and you basically create essentially a free market press, just hopefully not economically because fuck the free market, but a free market press where they are going to compete by being better. And part of that is the press fuck each other over with the accusations of, hey, you did this editing thing, we would have done it this way. You create a better program, a better system of putting out the information, and you should be rewarded for that. But we have gone the absolute opposite direction, and now Tommy Loren is considered a person who breaks news. Like, Jesus Christ. Actually, I don't even know if she's still up to anything.
I don't really. I think she sort of fell off a little bit, but it's also even from the first time he was campaigning, he would talk about how the media lies. Like, he built media, distrust in the media into all parts of his presence as a politician.
We're going to open up those libel laws. We're going to open the libel laws.
Ugh.
I don't even know if he knows what libel is. By the way, did you ever put your phone into landscape, or are you still in portrait?
I'm in landscape.
Good. Just double checking because I can't see that. And I have this little heads up notification on my end. And we're not cutting any of these editing notes. We went to break for y'all. That's all the break you're getting from it.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
I just don't have the time.
Get the behind the scenes.
Who's got the time? So essentially, yeah, independent journalism, you shouldn't. Certainly, that's a thing that's expanding right now. Arguably, we could pretend that that's what we are. But if you are in any way into editorializing or being a journalist, you should not feel safe in this administration unless you are absolutely getting on your knees for this man, because he's already said he's open to suing YouTubers. Sir, you won not just the election, but at life. You were born rich and you're dying rich. Hopefully unpleasantly, but whatever. I hope that your final moments are you just being tortured by what a fucking piece of shit you were. Not literally tortured. I'm not going to say anything to get this taken down, but mentally tortured by like, wow, I'm really having a moment, my first moment of introspection as I go toward the light and I realize, I hope that it's just a very unpleasant experience for you. Anyway,
we're dealing with a fascist takeover. That's why it's not just a guy that won, because he doesn't want to just win. Now he wants to, keep winning, which really just means get as much control as possible over everything that he possibly can get control over, whether he cares about it or not. If he can assert dominance, then he wants to.
Yep. He's also trying to cut the federal government by 2 million employees, has offered buyouts to ask 2 million employees to resign by February 6th. If they do so, they're supposed to receive full benefits and salaries through September. So essentially 7 months. Well, by February 6th, it'll be 7 months of, wow, February 6th is this week. By this Thursday, I actually know at least one of the people who is included in this federal employee thing. And basically their thought is like, if I don't, they're probably just going to figure out how to fire us immediately after. So a lot of people are expected to accept these cuts, but 2 million federal employees, like, I don't understand how all of these people who are like, Trump's going to fix the economy. He's about to inject 2 million unemployed people into the economy, who, by the way, have a bit of a resume now, because federal employees, like, that's not insignificant. And a lot of them are qualified. The person I know has advanced degrees and stuff. You are going to be competing with these 2 million employees for jobs starting soon, and then certainly by September when their money, the payouts run out.
So what is the purpose of laying off these people specifically? Like, are they specific departments that he's laying people off in, or is he just like trimming back on everything?
Right. He's trying to trim out as much as possible, turn the government into, basically put the government into crisis, so you then can identify what roles have to come back, and then cut out as much as possible so that you minimize the amount of help that the Americans are actually getting, the amount of research, the amount of things that we as a country are doing to make ourselves more exceptional than the rest of the world. And if you can cut out as much money as possible, you can pass another tax cut for billionaires, because you will now have lowered the amount of money that the government spends every year. And so you can return that to the people who hoard the money for themselves and fuck over the rest of us.
And my speculation is also you then have significantly more control over who is going to be taking the place of some of those roles that they need to bring back. And so then you can slowly but surely achieve full loyalty and allegiance from the top all the way down to the little guys, which is
horrifying.
Really scary. Yep.
We already know that with cabinet positions and stuff, talking about the extent of a person's loyalty, not just did you vote for Trump, but also what do you think of the 2020 election? Do you believe it was rigged? These are the questions that were asked to just be a part of not the cabinet itself, but like, they were doing loyalty tests for hiring the people who were going to support the cabinets even. It's really, really shitty. And there is, in his first term, they confirmed way more federal judges than normally happens. It was like Mitch McConnell's little masturbatory thing he would do all the time. Just get federal judge after federal judge after federal judge, because then you fundamentally change the ideological direction of the country, regardless of what the actual common ideologies in the country are. And this is a way of further doing that, basically creating a CCP style. Are you a party member style of, well, I don't want to overuse it, but George Soros does give me $5 every time I mention that they're fascists. Thank you, George.
That would be so nice.
I know. He's the best. I can't actually think about what his voice sounds like or what his face looks like, but he's the best. Oh, we don't pretend you're not getting paid by George Soros too. Come on, promise. Why would any of us do this? We're all pretending to be atheists. We're all pretending to be socialists because
well, the
George
scary
Soros
part
is paying us.
I have family members that will hear this and be like, yep, I knew it. I knew it.
I knew it. Let's go intercept her mail.
Yeah.
We'll figure out which ones the letters are. You think we don't know what these Hobby Lobby coupons really are?
God.
It's code. Every other letter. Moving into some, let's have something that's a little bit nice, a little bit pleasant. Going into some more business and economic news. We already talked recently about how Costco has rejected the anti-DEI shit that the Trump administration,
yes,
the shareholders,
this is good news.
over 90% of the shareholders voted down removing DEI stuff. And now Costco is actually pushing the pay for all of its workers to $30 an hour. It is, or maybe it's the top scale workers. We're going from $30.20 in the first year. It'll increase to then $32.20 over another 3 years. Entry level pay starts at a minimum of $20 an hour already. This is also, they are doing it in actual cooperation with unions to make sure that a strike doesn't happen. But they already kind of don't suck. So I didn't expect a strike to happen anyway.
Go to Costco. The really petty part of me was so excited about all of this because I know some very right-wing people that are obsessed with Costco, and part of me knew that that's going to ruin it for them. And either they're not going to get to go to their favorite place, which the worst, pettiest part of me loves, or they're still going to go, and they're going to have to live with the fact that they're supporting the DEI, the die.
They're going to they're not going to stop. They're going to go for the hot dogs. They're going to go for the tires. They're going to still go.
They can't stay away. Can't stay away from that beautiful Costco.
It's that's such a good deal. And by the way, I want to tell everybody, if you ever hear, and I know it's probably going to be a man telling the story about the CEO and them saying they wanted to change the prices of the hot dogs, don't interrupt them and tell them you've already heard the story. People get so much joy out of telling that specific story. Just like when old men want to tell you what mnemonic device they remember for something. It's lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Don't tell them you ever heard that before. I go, oh, that's a good way to remember it. Just give people this thing. And when they tell the story, I want to tell it now just for teasing it. I
love the hot dog story.
You know the hot dog story? Listen, you know the hot dog
story? I've been this person telling the story, so
I don't know the hot dog story.
It's so great.
I promise. I'll let you.
I want you to tell it. You tell it.
Because it does feel so good. The CEO and I think the founder of Costco at a board meeting, they're like, "Look, we're losing too much money. If we have to raise the price of the hot dog and the soda." To which he says, "If you do it, I will kill you." And
oh my God, is that real?
Yeah, he threatened to kill the board if they raised the price of the hot dog and the soda. And listen, you can say it was a joke, you can say it was tongue in cheek, but you know what else you can say? Hot dogs and a soda are still $1.50, and it's still a big fucking hot dog. That thing is a beefer. It is a massive 100% American beef. Actually, I don't know about American, but 100% beef hot dog. No notes. Well done.
No notes.
I will kill you. But now, Alyssa, when somebody starts to tell you the story again in the future, because it always comes back up, let them.
Allow them.
Let them have that bit of joy. I'm sitting here with my Costco snacks.
For saying she had heard it already.
I'm sorry. I've heard it and I've told that story many times because I love it so much. But Costco is just the best. I realized I'm eating the snacks right now. I was just there the other day, and unfortunately, that's where I see the most Trump shirts and hats. I mean, obviously, I live in Tennessee, so that's happening when I go anywhere, but it happens a lot there.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that maybe there's going to be less of that now.
So listen, does the socialist part of me want to now interest you? Look, in the capitalist garbage society we live in, Costco is the best of the worst. However, they still super profit off of cheap exploitive labor. They are still putting out smaller businesses they destroy local businesses when they build a new store in the area. Like, they are actually fucking awful. But
absolutely,
of all of these awful options,
they do have free samples down almost every aisle. It's so nice.
It's so nice. It's a lovely shopping experience.
I know when you're in college, it can be hard to get that $35 together, but if you can get it, it will pay you back in hot dogs
in
and
hot
samples.
dogs.
And
the
hot
ice
dog
cream.
dividends.
The cup of ice cream they give you is massive.
It's
I
a lot.
mean,
It's
it's
thick.
so much ice cream. Yeah.
I loved that strawberry vanilla swirl back when I could have such a thing.
It's so good.
It's good stuff. It's good
And
stuff.
honestly, don't sleep on the chicken bake. Have you had that? I mean,
No.
it's
No,
amazing.
but I've had a ton of their rotisseries, the $5
So
chicken,
good,
which again,
yes.
part of not great.
Not good.
The farming practices surrounding the chickens they buy and all that kind of stuff. Again, horrible.
We're leaving our morals at the door for this part of
Yummy.
the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
delicious.
Yum in my tum. $5? $5. $5 chicken. Can you imagine, like, if you were a sentient chicken, how devalued you would feel just being like,
Jimmy, that's literally, as you guys
$5?
were having this conversation, I was like, I'm not going to say it out loud because it's going to bum everyone out. But that's what I think of all the time when I see the price of any animal being as low as it is. I'm like, their whole life amounted to $5.
Okay, in fairness, the feathers were probably also used. That probably got some kind of price.
Okay.
Oh god,
The
this is
guts
getting
may have
worse.
been used for something. I don't know what. Probably made into like dog food. They like take all of that in. They wash it in ammonia and then dry it up and whatever. So it's not good. But anyway, the beaks. I'm sure
God.
something the feet.
We're gonna
Something
need a
happens
trigger
with
warning
these
for this
things.
part.
Maybe
I hate it.
I guess it's probably all the feathers, the rotisserie, like the chicken from Costco. I'm guessing it's like animal feed, feathers, and then the rotisserie itself. I'll bet you that takes that $5 to a hot, solid $8.30. I'll bet you it raises that price right up.
I don't like this conversation. Let's move on.
Everybody bummed out.
Yep.
We're sufficiently bummed out. That was supposed to be our happy-ish part of the show. So
Don't worry,
unfortunately,
we found a way to make it suck.
Yeah.
sorry.
And I messed up my outline because now it's trying to take us back into talking about the fact that Canada is boycotting American liquor. And we're also going to be fucking over. America is going to be fucking over its own exporters. So that's dope. We're just going to move. We're just going to move
We'll move
right
on.
right along. Right along. Into these well, why don't we should we pull these after the break? I'm trying to decide. Why don't we talk about I'm going to go a little off script here. We're going to go out of outline order and then we'll take a break in a moment, and when we come back we're going to talk about these plane crashes, the DEI stuff Trump is going on about. But at first, let's talk about these different crime and legal cases, starting with a Trump pardoned January 6th rioter, who has now been sentenced to 10 years for, since being pardoned, has killed somebody in a DUI crash. And I'm mostly adding this because the other day I floated this idea that perhaps alcoholism and extreme Trump devotion are the same picture. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know exactly what you're saying.
There's an odd number of alcoholics amongst Donald Trump's supporters.
I mean,
whatever
I know
that
a
shit
ton
does
of
to your
leftist
brain-
ones too. I feel like alcoholism is just big. It's a big thing right now.
It's so big right now.
It's so big.
It's
I hear
blowing
you.
up
I
right now.
definitely
She's
know
really having a
leftists-
moment.
It's on trend.
I will say, we're current generations. It's actually detrending.
Yeah.
The amount of alcohol consumed by the younger you get, the less likely you are. I'm a totally sober person, and then between the two of these people, they make up for me. So we have 3 people's worth of alcohol.
Yes.
But I don't drink it all. I'm just kidding. I don't think either of you drink that much. Alyssa, maybe, but.
That's like called out.
That's those. She's having the big gulp of charcuterie with those goat cheese charcuteries she was
Oh
talking about
hell
earlier.
yeah, hell yeah! And I'm single now, so now I get to go out and drink with dumb idiot people who are also single. Anyway, I'm not bitter.
It's so the difference between the experiences between men and women, where it's like I'm single now, so I go out and I drink to be more social. And then, but with men, it's like I'm single now, so I go out to get alcohol to bring back to my home and cry by myself into my locker.
I like the man's plan a little more. I'd rather go out, get a drink, and come back home.
Unfortunately, too much of it then turns into, and then I get online and I get into these weird forums, and then I watch a Michael Knowles video and I become insufferable over the course of a few months. That's pretty much what happens.
Jesus.
Anyway, her name is Emily Hernandez. She was the woman, if you all remember, the woman who was holding Nancy Pelosi's broken nameplate in the photos. She was pardoned with everybody else and now convicted for DUI manslaughter. Killing a woman in Missouri, will serve 10 years in prison. And I'm sure she's asking,
thought you said
does my
DUI.
pardon cover this? What'd she say?
I'm sure. I thought you said DUI manslaughter for a second. I was
DUI manslaughter.
trying to DUI. Got it. Yeah.
They will not abide DEI. DUI, you can run the fucking Pentagon if you want to be a DUI. But DEI, no. Don't break my heart. That's thank you.
Rough.
A little bit of a delay.
A little rough.
Little delay there. Before we go to the break, do you want to tell people about this story out of Tennessee, Promise? I know you were talking big about this new immigration law.
Yeah, we're calling it the immigrant hate bill, and I understand this is kind of local news, but I think it's really important for more people to know about it. I don't know if this is happening in other states or not. I happen to hear about it because I live in Tennessee, but it's absolutely outrageous, and it is fully because of what's happening in the White House. But we have this bill that they just passed where it it criminalizes the ability to vote for sanctuary policies. So if you are if you're a representative and you vote for one of these policies that would provide sanctuary for somebody, then you can go to jail for 6 years. You can be fined $3,000. It's really awful. It also requires them, if you're not a citizen, then you have to have your driver's license marked with a certain marking, of
your
course.
Special papers.
Your special papers, like we've talked about. It's extremely unconstitutional. Just the idea, think about it. They are criminalizing voting for something. That is the most anti-democratic thing I can possibly think of. It blows my mind that is even allowed. I was reading all about it thinking, is this just being blown out of proportion? No, that's actually what they did. And if I can read it, our Representative Justin Jones, who's amazing, for those of you that haven't heard about him, he posted on Instagram about it. So he says, today my Republican colleagues pushed through their immigrant hate bill to charge elected officials with a Class E felony for voting in favor of sanctuary city policies, requiring temporary residents to have a special mark on their ID cards, special mark,
including DACAs, including Dreamers,
yes.
DACA recipients.
Yeah. And creating a new unnecessary position of Chief Immigration Enforcement Officer within the Tennessee Department of Safety to streamline mass deportations in our state. This bill is not about addressing our broken system, but about stoking fear, division, and characterizing all immigrants as criminals. Despite testimony showing the human impact of this bill, including a mother from a mixed status household whose partner has been here for 20 years and continues to navigate the expensive and years-long process of legal immigration, my Republican colleagues came into the meeting with their minds made up. To further demonstrate their extremism, they had mothers, grandmothers, and clergy forcibly dragged out of the committee room by state troopers, even though they did not disrupt the committee. I watched this. They were just sitting there. When the session was gavelled back in, Chairman Chris Todd and Representative Bolso immediately called the vote without allowing Democratic representatives to ask a single question of the sponsor on the bill. As my Republican colleagues used their platforms to fearmonger inside, they emboldened those outside to engage in vigilantism and hate, like the KKK distributing Leave Now, Self-Deport flyers just yesterday in East Tennessee. This is a call and response from those in elected office who have used the red meat of racism to stoke hate groups into action to distract from their immoral policy agenda. This is fascism in action. And that's what I think we're going to just keep seeing throughout these red states specifically. It is appalling. But we have a president that is directly going against the Constitution at any opportunity. And so what's stopping any of them? That's terrifying because it seems to be nothing. Although the ACLU of Tennessee, of course, is their immediate responses, see you in court. So that's good.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, somebody will try, but the right is more, especially the extreme right, more and more empowered than ever to just go, we'll just pass whatever laws we want, and maybe you'll get to undo them later, but we might also be able to change the foundations, like replacing 2 million federal employees with loyalists. Was just going to be able to change the foundation so nobody will ever vote against us. This is a fully diseased, cancer-like takeover of the government's, not just at the federal level, but also at the local level. Right. And we are getting closer and closer to that day where things are going to just keep getting worse and be, I don't know what the big thing we're working towards is, but it's something big. We're going to jump to break again here. Alyssa, sorry, did you have something before we jump to break?
No.
Okay. Alyssa thinks all that sucks too. We're jumping back to break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about these plane crashes as well as the questions of the day before we wrap up. And a little exciting thing coming up. I'm thought
terrified.
I'd come up with a joke by the time we hit the break.
I'm so scared.
We'll tell you what kind of
little
ice cream to put on your
thing.
grilled cheese.
It's coming up, you guys.
Gross.
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today. Would you like to be one of the cool people who can
Welcome back. And of course, the news that everybody has been talking about this week and is honestly annoying the shit out of me, because we're supposed to have an audience of skeptics and people in my DMs are like, it's not an accident. It was on purpose. The Trump administration's doing it. Anyway, there was a deadly midair collision over Washington, D.C. that caused a lot of controversy and is awful and dumb because Trump immediately came out and started blaming DEI. There were 67 people killed in this thing. And he was blaming DEI hires at the FAA, thinking that it was perhaps the air traffic controllers, but then also acknowledging that the pilot of the helicopter should have had clear sight where he was going. So he couldn't even figure out which individual it was, but just that it was a problem that the FAA had DEI initiatives. Meanwhile, you actually have people like Pete Buttigieg, who was in charge of the Department of Transportation, saying there's definitely no link. Everybody has to go through the same rigorous FAA hiring process, and they absolutely have to show that they meet these strict qualifications. But Donald Trump wanted to come out, and as we mentioned on the other show, against like people with dwarfism being potentially air traffic controllers, because of course that would be extremely important. Now, since that episode, where we already talked about it, we've also had a few other things. For example, on Sunday, I think it was, a lot of passengers were freaking out as a United Airlines jet. I hear myself.
I hear you too.
I don't like it.
Like you're echoing?
Yeah.
I don't hear it.
Like, so I think it's you.
Fucking hell. But you're in my headphones. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, or just turn your headphones down. Anyway, I hated it though. I just hate my own voice. Anyway, panicking as flames erupted from their United Airlines jet mid takeoff. Luckily, they were able to emergency evacuate. There was no injuries, and the FAA is obviously investigating that. And then a couple of days ago, 6 people died, including a child, doctor, and paramedic, when a medical jet crashed into a Philadelphia neighborhood, leaving no survivors. And of course, somehow people on the right are trying to figure out, they haven't like tied it all together, but they think it's very worthy of note that all the passengers were Mexican. There was also an additional, one of the fatalities actually happened on the ground, and that is now being investigated as they are also trying to fix up this Philadelphia neighborhood. And I believe there was a few dozen injuries as a result of it hitting this residential area, including leaving this huge crater in a nearby mall. It is the main reason I wanted to include it. Yes, there's obviously been more crashes since then, but Jesus fucking Christ, you do not get to cringe about how conspiratorial these QAnon, which is just now seemingly the mainstream right-wing morons are, and then go, oh, but Elon Musk mentioned that DEI is going to cause plane crashes. And so that's a smoking gun that clearly Elon Musk and Donald Trump worked together to make this. This is one of the arguments made in my Instagram.
Yeah, I heard it. Ridiculous.
And I've left so far. I haven't even opened it back up, but I know the message waiting for me is something along the lines of like, what would I have to give you to convince you? And I'm like, fucking proof, like evidence, like a solid connection of not just like, oh, but look at this. Isn't this coincidence just so coincidencing? But of course, you're going to get people, and I guarantee you some of them will be listening to this show. We're like, yeah, but I'm not going to drop that that's coincidental, despite the fact that I recognize that these other people are being entirely redacted when they are doing the same fucking thing on their side. When it's just drive me fucking crazy.
I hate it. And I was seeing people doing that as the news was breaking. Like, we don't even know what happened yet, and already trying to, stand there at the whiteboard with these wires, and here's where it connects, and we don't even know anything yet. I mean, it's going to take the NTSB, what is it, like 2 years probably to even come out with a full report, because they're going to do their due diligence, I hope, and figure out all the things that went into this. Did you guys hear, though, what... I'm getting an alert that we've stopped recording.
Well, that's not ideal. The line of the recording stopped due to incoming call.
I got a phone call. Of course I did.
Oh, I think it was just yours, maybe?
It was me.
Okay.
I just put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to lose my mind today.
Still recording overall.
Great,
though.
good. We're still here then. I hope everyone's enjoying this. But
Excellent.
did you guys hear what Trump said when asked if he was going to go to the site of the crash in D.C.?
No.
He said, "What do you want me to do? Go swimming?"
Oh, I saw that.
What the
He said,
fuck?
he literally was like, you want me to go to the ocean? Do you want me to go swimming?
They don't
and then he went golfing.
Oh my God.
And then he went golfing all weekend. He was at Mar-a-Lago all weekend.
Yeah, he's really broken up. This is a man who doesn't care about the lives of others. We already know this. He is taking away the security detail of people who have active security threats, both domestic and abroad, like John Bolton, who's threatened by Iran. Like I think the news broke yesterday that General Mark Milley, that he's taken away his security detail because the man actually does not care who lives and dies. And with some people, like these people he sees as fucking him over in the past, he actively hopes they dies. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your family. He doesn't care if you make money. He cares about himself and how powerful he perceives himself. Because at this point, I don't even think it's about the money as much anymore, except for the status that comes. If he could ever say, I'm, the third richest man in the world, which publicly, there's none of these billionaires are actually richer than the people these are the public list. There are dudes in the UAE, there are dudes in Saudi Arabia who are much richer, and trillionaires likely already exist. But regardless of that, as far as the public list goes, he may end up in that situation again with these crypto scams and others where he wants just that status and he only cares about how he's perceived. I don't believe that he actually thinks an afterlife exists. We hear about this when you hear the leaks of when people like, think about your legacy. And he's like, who's going to give a fuck? I don't care about I'm going to be dead soon. Who gives a fuck? And I just hope that all of that's true, that he is going to be of natural causes, not our problem anymore. For much longer.
We still
Goodness
have
sakes.
all the problems, even if he's gone. That's
I
the
don't
sad
think
part.
it's not going to make too much of a difference.
I think it will. I think I don't think it's going to fix things, but I actually do think Donald Trump is sort of like a fascist of a generation, and you don't really have. I think it will be easier to fight back when they don't have him specifically, because everybody else who tries to be Trump looks like a joke trying to do it, and ends up kind of sucking at it. Like nobody respects Ron DeSantis anymore.
How long will it take until there's a report that he's not actually dead and he's still, you know what I mean? Like these people literally believe that their God died and resurrected and all this, so they have no problem making up dead president.
It's actually a conspiracy, and he's running the government from the back. Like this is JD Vance is actually taking orders from him.
Yeah, he's going to go
many
to
of them
heaven
believe that. Yeah, many of them believe that he was chosen by God too. So I'm sure that they're going to insist that even if he did die, he's going to get resurrected.
How could he choose himself?
They love him harder. They really do. That's the thing.
let's end with these questions of the day and then head over to the bonus show, which is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun things on the bonus show. The never say erection bill. No, life begins at erection bill.
Never say erection.
Never say it. I'm never saying it again.
You already lost.
And the Ben story, this beautiful caller who is so kind to promise. But the questions of the day, as we said, for next week, and this is what we want to hear your responses to, how much of what we see in politics today is actual policy and how much is just about controlling the narrative. For example, Donald Trump immediately jumping into press conferences about these plane crashes. Is that actually because he gives a fuck about anybody or because he has a narrative to control? I hear my voice again. I just want to drill it out of my own head. That is the next week's question of the day. But last week's, not weeks, I always say weeks, but we do these things days apart.
Episode.
Is it wrong of people to take an I told you so moment when presenting how bad the Trump administration is? Phil over on Patreon had said, not only is it okay to say I told you so, I think it's necessary. The problem is Trump's base are going to stay with him no matter what. When it becomes impossible to afford groceries or gas, he'll convince them that it's a good thing. And Dr. Barber on YouTube wrote, I don't think it's wrong necessarily, but it's probably better directed at people who don't know much about politics but were swayed to vote for Trump by things like his podcast appearances and the media sane washing. He was the beneficiary of this last election cycle. Sane washing is a funny word. MAGA people aren't worth bothering with unless you're just doing it to troll or spite them. They'll just get mad or double down. And a lot of the comments were similar to this pattern. I honestly wasn't thinking that much about, I don't think you could say I told you so to the MAGA people right now, because I don't think they currently agree that you have been shown to be right. Like, it is a bit weird because that their side does that. Have any of you gotten the like I told you so attitude on vaccines yet, where they act like we've all agreed that their COVID vaccines turned out to bear fruit? Have you seen any of that where they're like,
Sure.
see,
Yeah.
and now not just that they believe that stuff about vaccines, but they seem to believe the world has agreed their stupid shit was true and that we now accept it. And I'm like, hang on, take a step back here, fuckface. We're not there. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, this is what I was saying before, that I don't really care to have back and forth with hardcore Trump supporters anymore because they operate from a completely different reality and set of alleged facts. So it's like, even like having a I told you so moment actually doesn't matter because in their mind, you've told them nothing. Like you said, they don't
Right.
believe that anything has happened. And it's just like, there's no point. You'd be wasting your breath, I think.
I do agree with the person who was saying maybe the people who were swayed this time by the sane washing to literally be like, cool. There are some people who are like, fuck, I didn't think it'd be like that. It's like, how? We told you it would be. And you already are seeing the problems. We told you this was going to be the problem. And you were just like, no, I want eggs to be cheaper. How's that going so far, by the way? How are them eggs? But more what I'm talking about is the tremendous number of people who protest voted either by not voting at all or voting for Jill Stein or voting for some other candidate. And not only did that, but tried to convince others to do that.
Right.
And that the fact of the matter is, on November 5th, one of the two was going to be chosen, and your actions either helped put one or the other in office. You voted whether you voted for one of the two, you did in a metaphorical or direct way, in a way that you should be just as held responsible for. So this whole idea of like, well, this is my red line. I'm never voting for, X issue. Yes, you are. And you did. And because of the way the election turned out, it turns out you voted for Donald Trump, you fuckface.
Well
Yeah,
put.
well said.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think
But what if you just say it again and then people who like you will be like, I liked it better when
True.
she said it.
we can do that. That's kind of what we do a lot.
That's the good stuff.
No, I think I said my opinion on this pretty fully last time when we discussed it, which is I don't see the purpose. I don't have it in me to say I told you so because the ones that will hear it already know and they're already regretting it and I'm even hearing them fess up to it and that's great. I don't think it helps to pile on. And the ones who are just going to be irritated are going to be irritated if I say that and they don't care anyway. So to me, it doesn't make me feel better. I don't think it does anything. I understand why somebody feels the instinct to do that or the the compulsion to say I told you so, I don't think it offers any form of anything other than maybe for the person saying it.
No, I do. I think I get both catharsis, and I feel like I can use it to make a point to, even if not to that individual, to potentially an audience of people saying like, hey, how many of these am I going to do before you start fucking listening to me? And I think it doesn't matter to me whether it builds the credibility with the asshole who's going to push back and be like, no, you're wrong. And Jill Stein, even if you turned all the votes, as though that was the isolated point ever. But that just the ability to go like to the people who are observing, have that moment of them being like, I might actually start listening to, I know he's an asshole about it all, but he's calling balls and strikes pretty good over there.
I think I'm mostly also wanting to just ask some of these people the question of how are you still, I have a couple of trans mutuals on TikTok that came out as pro-Trump. And then, you know, all of this stuff just came, you know, they're already, of course, like, I don't know how
losing
this was
their
a surprise.
passports and shit.
Yes. And I'm like, and they're doubling down. And that's what I don't understand.
This is actually going to legitimize us more. Well, maybe we'll have to bring, maybe I'll reach out to one of them for the podcast, for the Jimmy Snow as a podcast. And
that would be really interesting. I think that would be a very interesting conversation.
Speak it for themselves.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to, people are going to be really annoyed the way I'm going to be like, cool, here's why you, a trans person, are wrong about trans issues, because I'm tired of being polite and not showing off that I know better than you.
That's so fascinating for a person to do that. But I guess, I mean, we talked about this the last time that there's a picture of a guy wearing a Latinos for Trump t-shirt getting carried away by ICE. So it's just
except that was AI. I don't know if you guys
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Damn. Well,
funny.
I mean, not damn. I mean, I'm glad someone didn't get arrested, but
it will happen literally, even if it won't be that fun of an image. There will be people who voted for it. It would be interesting because why would you have a shirt declaring who you voted for if you can't vote? If you're being taken by ICE, you wouldn't be able to vote. But anyway, there's the AI misinformation stuff is going to be wild the next several years.
Yeah. I watched a really bad movie about AI robots last night. It was awful. It was called Subservient. And
outro the show while you explain how it's subservient is like.
Megan Fox is in it, which is the only reason to watch. So just watch Megan Fox.
That's a good reason.
The guy has sex with her. I'll spoil that for you. I think we figured that out pretty quickly though. And the robot tries to take over the world and infect its malware.
I've got this is a t-shirt. Man, the pink one's better if you want the high contrast. Yeah, you got the crew. Everybody looks good in
the
these
hoodie
crew necks.
is so cozy though. I love it.
It's good. Now, she didn't love it enough to wear it today, but
I didn't have time.
The crew neck. I like that crew neck. Linemerch.com. The Founders merch is going away very soon. And that's it for us. Goodbye.
Get it now.